Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be talking about the most common pitfalls and challenges that people encounter when they're trying to recover from long COVID or chronic fatigue syndrome. My name is Carissa Conrad. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and therapeutic pain specialist, and I am the vagus nerve PT. So these are things that I saw both in myself as I was trying to recover before I kind of figured out the ultimate secret, as well as in the people that I coach. And it all centers around one common theme, which is really about understanding the nervous system. The key shift in my recovery, my pivotal point when I really started to get it, was when I understood how the brain works, why it's doing what it's doing, and how the nervous system is going to behave when it's in a fight or flight state. And really what it ultimately comes down to, the most important thing to understand, is that chronic stress is going to cause the body to reallocate resources towards what it needs in those circumstances in order to survive. It literally is as though a lion is following you around at all times. The symptoms then are protective mechanisms. They're there to try to keep you safe from that lion. So ultimately, what it comes down to with recovery is really establishing safety. So what are the common things that happen for people as they're trying to recover that interrupt that process of establishing safety? Well, the first one is doing techniques without understanding or knowing the goal of doing them. So there are lots of wonderful, well-meaning techniques out there. There's meditation, there is breath work, there is symptom tracking, there is pacing, there is understanding how to respond better to symptoms. All of these are beneficial techniques in your process of recovery. What I find though is that if you don't understand that the ultimate goal is about creating safety in your nervous system, then using these techniques can lead to a lot of frustration and lack of progress. Pacing is one that I struggled with quite a bit in my recovery. And with pacing, what I found is that I just kept thinking, I have to do this. I just got to do a little bit each day, just a little bit more each day, a little bit more each day. What I didn't understand is the reason why I was pacing. The reason why I was pacing was to keep my nervous system safe. Rather than going from being on the couch to running 4 miles a day, it was about establishing safety and maintaining safety. And because I didn't understand that, I didn't get anywhere with pacing. So this is a common thing that I see when coaching clients come to me in recovery, and they'll say, but I've tried all these different things and I haven't gone anywhere. And ultimately, it's in part because they don't understand why they're doing those things. Now, this leads into the second issue that often comes up when I'm working with people in recovery, and that is overloading yourself, thinking about the things that you need to do in order to recover as things you need to do. And this ties into, for a lot of us prior to becoming ill with chronic fatigue syndrome, long COVID, or any chronic illness, again, we were those people that tended to drive ourselves pretty hard, whether it be physically or mentally in our jobs. We were maybe endurance athletes or high performers in school, high performers at work, straight A students, type A personalities, and we took a lot on ourselves. And those strategies worked for us for a long time. And so we try to apply that same mentality to recovery. We think, okay, I know that meditation works. And I watched this recovery video where so-and-so said they meditated 6 times a day and they got better. And then you have a day where you only meditate 5 times and you start to spin out, right? You think, I only got 5 times of meditation in today. Am I going to feel way worse tomorrow? Now I'm really worried. How am I going to feel tomorrow? How am I going to feel the next day? Am I going to go backwards? And you start to stress about it, right? Well, we've lost our safety, right? And so that in and of itself, being hyper-focused on the techniques themselves, I just need to get X amount of things done today in order to get better, that can make us lose that safety in the nervous system. And so the way this kind of goes back to number one, the way to avoid that pitfall is to really understand why you're doing those techniques, to really learn about your nervous system, to learn about why your brain is doing what it's doing to protect you, and to learn your individual responses and signs about whether your nervous system is safe or not. And then you can apply those techniques strategically to actually make progress. Now, the final one, and this is really one that is key, is asking your brain to change before it has the capacity. So again, lots of wonderful techniques, lots of wonderful things that we're told to do through our process of recovery, like trauma processing, going back into our childhood, reprocessing trauma, thinking about learning how to heal those attachment wounds or triggers, sound, for example. I've talked about that with me before, or just any other any other triggers or traumas from our childhood. Journaling, where you're bringing up those emotional traumas and trying to process them through with writing, and also brain retraining. So brain retraining techniques, where you're trying to, essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to take your brain that's going down a well-worn pathway, like you're in the woods and you have like hacked down all of those trees and you've got this 5-lane highway down this pathway, and you're trying to move it on a little tiny dirt path that is brand new. That is what brain retraining and trauma reprocessing and all of that's what it's meant to do. And it is all helpful. It is all important to our recovery and to our growth as individuals. And this is work, I've talked about this before. I do this a lot. And what we're trying to do is take the amygdala hijacking, excuse me. We're trying to change the brain from going into a fight or flight survival mode into a more creative new way of thinking around that particular topic. Well, if we're doing this without first establishing that sense of safety in the brain is going to push back. You can, again, literally think of it like you're walking down the road and there's a lion walking behind you. Like, just imagine that for a moment. Like, you're walking and you can see a lion stalking you at all times. That's where your brain is at. There's a lion stalking you at all times. And then you're thinking, I'm going to go back to that traumatic experience I had as a child and try to heal that experience. Again, wonderful. Exactly something that is going to be beneficial for you in the long run. If you haven't established safety, if you haven't gotten rid of the lion first, your brain has to hang on to that traumatic experience just as it has it, because the reason that the brain established that experience in the way that it has, the reason that you remember it in the way that you do, was all about survival. It was for you to survive. So lots of different things, whether you were maybe you were a people pleaser growing up, and the reason you became a people pleaser is because that helped you survive. As a child, you needed to be a people pleaser in order to get your basic needs met, right? Lots of us know that. We've done counseling before. We've read our books and all these things. These are adaptive behaviors that helped us survive as a child. We can't shift the brain out of that well-worn pathway if the brain doesn't first feel safe. So these are just some common things that, if you're running up against these as you're trying to recover, you're like, I'm doing these techniques. I am doing the meditating. I am doing my breath work. I am, processing my childhood trauma. I am doing the pacing. And you're not getting the results you want. It may very well be because you haven't learned how to establish that sense of safety in the brain first, how to apply those techniques in a way that's going to maintain that sense of safety, and in a way that's actually going to catapult you toward progress and maintain that progress. And so if you're interested in ways to do that. If you want to learn how to apply these techniques, if you want to learn how to use vagus nerve stimulation safely and effectively, my recovery course will walk you through that. I'm available for coaching sessions, and ultimately, my goal is to help you understand your nervous system, help you understand your brain, why your brain does what it does, and how you can shift those well-worn pathways into something new. And it's all about establishing safety in your brain and going from there. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what else you want to hear, how this might have helped you, and let's just keep healing together. And we will see you on the next one.